Hello, fellow creative. I'm so glad you could join me today. My name is Alex, I'm a professional artist, and today I'm going to give you a tour of my art journal, which I did for Sketchtober this year. In my previous video, I filled out the first page and talked about how I generally feel about doing these sorts of art challenges like Sketchtober and similar. If you watched that video, then you're probably wondering, did I complete the challenge or did I call it quits early? Well, you're about to find out. Let's take a look. So you probably remember the first page if you watched my previous video, so I won't get too detailed, but in broad strokes, this day I did some carpentry. The next day was kind of mundane actually. I just went for some grocery shopping, drove there of course, filmed some things when I came home and did a bit of cleaning. I had pancakes on the 3rd of October. I was waiting for an important call, and in the afternoon evening I went out and gathered some branches and made an autumn wreath for my front door. I didn't complete it that day, so this is what it looked like by the end of the day. And the next day was actually the last day of a freelance contract that I was working on and had been working on for the past 5 to 6 months, so being done with that was quite a big day. My last task was to draw some crystals for the game, so that's what this means. I also crafted this cute little acorn felt thing in the evening and painted some beads red to use for my autumn wreath. On this day, I went for a walk in the forest. There's this lovely little forest very close to where I live, and I really enjoy going there. It's so beautiful. And when I came home, I was drawing in my sketchbook. I did not get abducted by aliens, as this might suggest, but I did watch a documentary about the topic, which was very interesting. Spooky season, it's right on theme. I also had some homemade ice cream. Here, again, I went grocery shopping, and I actually think that it's really important to note that a lot of the things that I've drawn in my art journal is of really mundane things, like taking out the trash and doing the laundry. I feel like we're often presented with a very romanticized idea of what it's like to be a professional artist, but we also have to shop and cook and clean just like every other person, and it's important to note that. Inside the store, I had this funny little interaction with another customer. We were both headed for the same refrigerator door, and for a few seconds we did this awkward little who's gonna go first dance. Is it you or me? Or eventually this guy moved aside and said, "You go on ahead first." So I thanked him and I reached into the fridge to grab 2 packets of mozzarella. However, I noticed that there were only 2 packets left, so I turned to the guy with both packets in my hand and asked him, "Were you also after these?" And he told me, Yeah, I also needed those, so I ended up giving him one and keeping the other. And then of course I had to carry my groceries home from the garage to the house. In the evening I finished my autumn wreath and I was so happy with the result. It's hanging on my front door now and it will until Christmas. It's beautiful. Here I was writing a lot of scripts and recording some voiceovers for some of my videos. I also remember being very tired and I took a long nap on the couch, and in the evening I played a board game with my partner. On this day I had a video call with a former client from the contract I was just finished with. I took out the trash. I exported a bunch of expressions for an art project that I was working on. And I don't remember what this is, probably something about the weather. Oh, on this day it was really misty. It was so spooky and beautiful in the morning, and I was kind of rushing to eat my breakfast and get out so I could just look at what the forest was like in this fog and hopefully film some cool shots. I remember specifically that I brought my camera and I found this branch. It had this beautiful little spider web that I was able to capture really close up. I came home and I edited some of the videos that I'd taken so that I could use them in various projects. And in the afternoon, it also started raining. On this day, I woke up very early, and I also did a lot of bureaucracy things. I don't know if you can see it, but here's what it says. Sometimes it feels like that when doing bureaucracy. Laundry later, and in the evening, some recording and checklists, probably of things I was supposed to record. a day with a lot of practical things. Here I went out for a shopping trip. There were some things I needed to buy and some things I needed for my recording setup here actually. And I covered up my outdoor furniture because it was getting cold and we weren't using them anymore, and it's just that time of the year. I cleaned up in the garden. There were some leaves and some weeds that I needed to remove. And then I used some anti-green substance on my stone slates to hopefully clean it up a little bit. Here I went for a walk to this beautiful lake area. I actually just found it recently, even though I've been living here for many years. I've never been there. Coming home, I researched some high pressure washes because I needed to clean those stone slates and I couldn't do it with a brush. I needed some power tools. Then I set up my recording equipment that I bought the previous day, and this is actually the setup that I'm using right now. And then I was painting an actual canvas painting. I brought my easel in from the storage where it'd been standing for a while, and I just enjoyed painting on canvas again. It's been some time. On this day, my brother came over. He needed help with making this strap for carrying something. We made a design, we bought the equipment, or we bought the fabric and all the things that we would need, and then we just made it. So that's what all these things represent. That's my sewing machine, some fabrics, and this is the strap that we actually made. On this day, I was writing a lot of scripts and drafts for various projects and videos. I believe I was doing some editing here, and in the evening I was just chilling out with my cat in my lap on the couch. It was so cozy. Later that evening I received a package. It was my high pressure washer that had finally arrived. Naturally, the first thing I did the next day was to assemble the high pressure wash. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting that you would have to assemble it yourself. I just kind of thought that you bought the thing and it was just together, so that was a surprise, but it wasn't too tricky. Then I couldn't wait to use it, so I just went out into the garden. We have this huge space with a lot of stone tiles, and they were very dirty. So it looked like this, and when it was done, it was amazing. This high pressure wash was great. It really did the trick, and I was so happy to finally see the garden clean. Also, my cat was very happy because after we put that anti-green detergent on, she couldn't be out there because it wasn't safe. But now that the stone slates were clean and the detergent was gone, she was able to go outside again, and she was very happy. On this day, I believe I experimented a little bit with some music. Nothing special, not really for anyone, just for me because it's fun. My partner was also away that day, so I was completely alone for a long few hours. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Is my keyboard? I guess I was writing something. Oh yes, time to wash the car. And it was like this big end of season, winter is coming kind of clean. So it was like a very thorough clean. And I also had some very minor damages. You know, when you get like a rock that kind of hits the car, you get a little chip. And so I had to paint over that to make sure it wouldn't rust. And here it was time to change from summer tires to winter tires. Some of you might recognize this logo. This is Fruity Loop Studio, not sponsored, just program I used to play around with in the past. And I recently, inspired by my music jam the other day, I just downloaded the trial of the program just to play around with it again for fun, not really doing anything, just enjoying myself. I listened to some music or possibly some podcasts and painted some abstract drawings in the evening. Here I went to get some art supplies. I had a few things that I needed to stock up on. I also bought a shirt that I was going to use as a painting shirt. Some people use an apron, but I don't really like it, so I always have used throughout the years a shirt, but I needed a new one. And I actually ended up liking it so much that I didn't want to use it for painting. Then it was time for some planning. So here's a schedule and one of these Sharpie markers. On this day, I didn't have a great day in some ways. I had some stomach pain. I had a migraine later. I believe I did some video editing here and made a thumbnail. Here I had ordered something on my phone and it arrived into my mailbox that day. I received an offer or an opportunity for a new freelance contract, so that was very exciting. I also believe I made a new brush pack for myself to use for some specific aspect of painting, and of course, painted a little bit in Photoshop. On this day, I pushed my amazing art onto the internet. I can't remember what it is, but this is what it says. This isn't a present, but it felt like a present to me. It was just a package, a postal package, and I received this little guy, a plushie, which is, you know, one of these squishmallows that looks like an onion. It is so, so cute. I also had another plushie which I've had for years, which, you know, after a few years they get a little bit deflated and just needs a little bit of extra stuffing. So I did some surgery on this plushie cat and stitched her back together so that she is nice and puffy and huggable again. On this day I went to a seminar about sleep. Actually, it was super interesting. I ended up getting lost on my way out, and on my way home I purchased 2 other of those of the same shirts that I bought a while back so that I could use one as the painting shirt, which was the original idea, and I could also just wear them because I like them. Here I was just drawing some digital illustration. I did some laundry. I recorded myself when I was painting, and I managed to finish the piece, which is, I work on my pieces for quite some time, and it's not like I finish one every day. Absolutely not. It takes way more time. Oh yes, time to clean the bathroom. I also did some abstract painting or sketching. Actually, I was just on my floor. I had all these papers, so many papers all around me, and I was just going from one to the other and drawing. It was so much fun. It was just one of those raw creative days with not much thinking, not like getting in your own way, but just doing something with no pressure, no goal, just doing this for the fun of it. I had a Ginger Joe beer in the afternoon / evening, and by the end of the day I had a huge stack of abstract drawings or paintings, and some of them ended up really great, and I really like them. One of these drawings I was actually drawing on top of on this day because I felt like it wasn't finished. I felt like it needed something more, and so I just started like drawing with pencils and various tools, ink right on top of it, and it turned out really, really great. Here I continued working on that big painting, a canvas painting. I did some recording when I was working on this painting, and movie night in the evening. Once again, grocery shopping, watering my plants, scanning those abstract sketches that I did the other day, and had a long phone call. Here I was editing those scanned abstract drawings, and when I had edited, I did some print tests to see what they would look like if I made prints out of them. I also uploaded an illustration, the one that I finished previously, to ArtStation, and painted some more. On this day, I was researching different kinds of acrylic paints, different brands, different quality, trying to figure out what I was going to get. I also had a cold, unfortunately, so I didn't have a lot of energy. I did take a moment, though, to review my business plan for my art business, and I watched a documentary about catfishing. This day I started with a hot shower to get the cold out of my system, and then I went to the art supply store. I just love being in the art store. There's just something about the atmosphere. I brought home some silicone paint brushes that I use for a very specific acrylic technique. And then I was moving some stuff off of my cloud drive onto an external hard drive to save up some space. Here I signed a new contract for freelance work. Semi-clean magic. What is this? I believe I was cleaning something, but only doing it like 50%. I couldn't tell you what, I can't remember. I was doing some experimentation with watercolors, and Dragon Age Veilguard came out this day, so I was absorbed for a while after that. And that's it, that's the full month. And to celebrate it, I just wanted to do this little page, lots of patterns, lots of things, really fun. So after doing this art journaling for 31 days, I have some thoughts and I want to share my takeaways with you. Like I said, I didn't really expect that I would complete the challenge. I stuck with it for the whole month because I enjoyed the practice of art journaling, and I'm happy that I can now browse through these pages and remember those days in a way that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to. But I think the key here is that I really only set out to do this for a limited amount of time with no pressure whatsoever. I also feel like it was a very good exercise, especially if you're an illustrator or working with something like UI. With those kind of jobs, you often have to translate things that are sometimes very complex or abstract into a single, super clear image or icon. So, will I continue art journaling after this and make it a daily habit? Not likely. There are so many other creative projects that I'd much rather spend my time on, but this was a fun one-time thing. And maybe I'll try something similar in the future, maybe with color that time. Did I stay true to the challenge and fill out one page every day? No, I did not. What I did do was I wrote down 4 things that I did every day, and whenever I felt like sketching or had a moment to spare, I would go through my entire backlog of usually 2 to 5 days at a time and draw all of those pages. It just works better for me that way. It's really the only way that I can enjoy this practice and not have it feel like a chore. If you ever do one of these challenges yourself, or if you've tried it but found that you don't like them, I would encourage you to just find a way that works for you if you do want to do them. You can make your own rules because after all, this is your project and you are the person who set out to do this. And that pretty much sums up my experience of art journaling for a month. If you enjoyed this video, then please take a moment to give it a like and go check out my channel. I share my art, my process, my thoughts about creativity, and tutorials to help you develop your own artistic skills. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, then go right ahead and subscribe. Stay creative, and I hope to see you again soon.